This is Fight Boat, a floating vessel of vice and of violence, where only the most depraved warriors face off in combat. To win, it takes strength, sacrifice, and a complete disregard for personal safety. This is Fight Boat, the home of the global MEGAFist 12. A grueling tournament like no other. Fighters compete to earn points, where it's not just win, but how fast you win. Twelve will enter. One will prevail. No one will get paid. It's the Global MEGAFist 12. Fight Boat is real! Welcome to Fight Boat. Hello everybody, and welcome. My name is Derek Osceola. I am joined by Lucille Kramblecorn. We are surrounded by absolute opulence, depravity, and soon-to-be violence. This is the 2021 Global MEGAFist 12. And I'm Derek Osceola. Lucille Kramblecorn is sitting to my right, and we are in a very different place than we were this time last year. I don't think I can know where, but we are we're on a boat.
Derek, Fight Boat is real and nothing hurts. Oh my goodness.
I don't know where we are. I don't care.
Every day I have praised the most honorable and glorious Mr. Naga for rescuing us from the Atsapadlin and delicately placing us on, as you said, the opulent, the extravagant, the decadent Fight Boat. We have such a lineup of combat sports here on Fight Boat. It boggles and blows the mind. It assaults the senses in a tremendously wonderful way. This is going to be amazing.
You know, after
Derek.
the year we had, I swear, I swore off any sort of nautical vessels or any sort. I swore I never wanted to be on a boat ever again, and now I can't imagine life not on a boat. It is an incredible. We'll have plenty of time to explain that and where it got us to this point. But we have for you this evening the start of the third ever the 2021 Global MEGAFist 12. We started, as we always do, with the heavyweight division. And Lucille, we have a great field of fighters. You know some of them. You may remember some of them if you're watching at home. We had them all aboard here on Fight Boat, and we are getting ready to see them. Let's take a look at our lineup and just kind of talk through this. We're going to go through the matchups in just a second, but let's talk about this lineup, Lucille. We have Group A. We have our defending champion, Oliver Lehman. We have the 2019 champion, Dr. Igor Tonic, Marty Sweats, Meat Eater Marty Sweats. We have Lonnie Fescue, and we have two newcomers, Professor Andre Carson and Dr. Cardio Van Hart. Of course, two of those, the two of the fighters who came in through the Hyper Fist method. And so this is quite an assortment of personalities, of characters, of fight talents.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, big bad Oliver Lehman, he has been, shutting down and foreclosing on the hopes and dreams of, just about anyone else to make it into the playoff stage. Lehman and Tonic, those are my early picks for playoff contention. It's going to take a lot to upset either of those two men. I'm glad I'm a little heartbroken we're getting them matching up in the group stage as opposed to, kind of saving it for the first time for the playoffs. But that's going to be a great fight whenever it does happen to go down.
A very fair and a very strong point. Yeah, we have so many. It's actually interesting. This is going to be so Tonic and Lehman. This is an interesting little tidbit. They have been in the same group for the last two tournaments, and both of them have been the semifinalists advancing from the group. It was very close last year. Tonic needed a tiebreaker to outlast Marty Sweats and make it out, but it is perhaps sure money. And while we go through that, these are the fights we're going to see tonight from Group A. Oliver Lehman, and again, the random draw is kind of what sets this in place. The defending champion will kick things off against Dr. Cardio Van Hart, newcomer out of the Hyperfist tournament. He has drawn the short straw. He has Oliver Lehman. Meat Eater Marty Sweats made a debut last year. Takes on Professor Andre Carson, again, Hyperfist qualifier. And Dr. Igor Tonic and Lonnie Fescue will do battle. That is our Group A set of fights tonight. But can't be Group A without a Group B. And let's look at these fighters, a very different grouping. Wanderin' Mo Volt, finalist from last year. Handsome Jeff Perkins, semifinalist. And a great debut for him. Fritz Milgram, a very tough competitor. Lil 42, of course, I guess shortening the name to Lil 42. And of course, our two newcomers from the Hyperfist. Well, one is Grant Clado, Grant Clado. However, Guff Magnuson is a name you might remember from 2019. He got relegated from the first heavyweight global megafist, and he makes his return.
Yeah, this Group B is, in my opinion, the field is much more wide open. Wander Motvult had such an impressive run last year. Jeff Perkins coming out of the Hyperfist, incredible performance. Fritz Milgram and Lil 42, they've always been consistently, upper echelon fighters. If they can kind of end, put themselves over the top this year. But Guff Magnuson, I'm sure he's hungry to not only get back into global megafist competition, but to stay there and make a big impact. And Grant Clado, I mean, the Hyperfist guys are tough. We saw that with Jeff. We saw that with Marty Sweats. Grant Clado could definitely be a big surprise, a bit of a dark horse in this Group B stage.
Actually, he's the unknown. I think the probably of anyone of the six in this group, he's the one that I think people know the least about because they've only seen him in the Hyperfist.
Absolutely. Just a lack of available film can definitely help a newcomer in terms of not being able to telegraph too much. Keep things close to the vest.
Yeah, well, 100%. Well, again, now that we're on Fightboat, I don't think a lack of film is an issue. We're not on the Atsa Paddle anymore, where the only film we could possibly do is our memories, which we would like to repress for most of that year. The lineup tonight, Grant Clado and Guff Magnuson, the two newcomers to Group B, will do battle, so that'll be a good win in the books for one of those two, as well as Lil 42 taking on handsome Jeff Perkins. See if Perkins can return to last year's form and start things off strong. And our main event tonight will be Wanderin' Mo Volt. Last year's finalist came ever so close to winning the Global Megafist 12, taking on Fritz Milgram, who made a very similar run in 2019. It's going to be a great night of fights. We are live aboard Fightboat. We have moved everything into, well, we'll get to that in a second, but most importantly, the rules of the Global Megafist 12 are as such. All of our fights are amateur mixed martial arts. 3 rounds, a 150-second fight, 2.5 minutes if you prefer that way. It's going to count down in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. There's a 10-point must scoring system. All of our judges will score the fight based on aggression, damage, and fight boat control. And don't forget, there's an all-you-can-eat seafood buffet tonight, starting at the end of the show. Get you some shrimps. I'm certainly going to be, I'm still kind of recovering from the all-you-can-eat seafood buffet from 2 nights ago, but I think I'm ready for some shrimps.
Absolutely. You just you got to pace yourself. Make sure you you don't come down with any kind of iodine poisoning or depending on your allergy levels. There are EpiPens available if you do start to swell. But definitely get after those shrimps.
Yeah, 100%. There is so much to talk about, so much to talk about on Fightboat, so much to talk about tonight. However, as always, we like to explain to you, if you are new to the Global MEGAFist 12, it is a unique tournament unlike any other. We have a perfect way to explain to you what you are about to witness. It is the explainer of the Global MEGAFist 12. Here we go.
The Global MEGAFist 12 is a grueling competition like nothing ever seen before in mixed martial arts. First, the 12 fighters are drawn at random into 2 groups of 6 fighters each. Each fighter will face off against the other 5 in their group. A win is worth 3 points, while a draw is worth 1. In addition, bonus points are awarded for how fast a fight is won. Winning in the 3rd round is worth 4 total points, a 2nd round win is worth 5, and finishing a fight in the 1st round gets you 6 points in all. After all 5 rounds of competition, the 2 fighters who finish in last place are relegated from Global MEGAFist 12 and must earn their way back in next season. They will be replaced by 2 fighters from the HyperFist qualifying tournament. The 2 5th-place fighters will be matched up against 2 more fighters from the HyperFist qualifiers, with the winners earning their spot in next season's Global MEGAFist 12. The top 2 fighters from each group advance to the semifinals, where the 1st-place fighter from each group will take on the 2nd-place fighter from the other. The winners of these fights will do battle for the championship. It all comes down to one thing: win, and win fast. And the title of Global MEGAFist 12 champion awaits.
fight of the evening. Oliver Lehman taking on Van Hart. We apologize for the graphic error in that. We're still getting a hang of the new technology we have to work with here on Fight Boat, but height advantage and a reach advantage of 3 inches each goes to Oliver Lehman. And Lucille, we have seen in the past how much that matters, how well Oliver Lehman uses that.
Oh, absolutely. Lehman, all he has to do is just reach out and touch you at the end of one of his strikes, and it can be lights out. I mean, this guy is, you know, that 11-2 career record is kind of speaks for itself, I would say.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And we see Van Hart, Dr. Cardio Van Hart. He's for those unfamiliar with him from the HyperFist, he made his way through the survival fight. He did defeat, I'm just looking at my notes here, he defeated Damian Adder in the survival fight at last year's finale on December 20th.
Let's cut him. We got to cut him.
We had a fantastic night of fights that evening. He is Dr. Cardio Van Hart. He sells bootleg workout tapes. Is what I understand his life outside of mixed martial arts or fighting here in the global mega. His life outside of fight mode. His former life, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I know back in December we were all lamenting the tapes that we had being stuck on the axe of paddling. 3 months can change a lot. We might still be on Fight Boat for indefinitely, but this is a much better situation. So
100%. We are seeing some really strong striking from an impressive start from Van Hart. He's catching Lehman, and again, this might be a little bit of rust. All these fighters now, since being on Fight Boat, this is their first fight for the of the year of the tournament. This might be a time to catch somebody off guard, like Oliver Lehman, and Van Hart is closing the distance right now.
Typically the final question in the tail of the tape, doesn't showcase a lot of information, just kind of reveals how weird some of these people are. Oh my God! Holy cow! I was gonna say Lehman said his favorite dessert was tiramisu, and he might not be taking things things, but holy goodness, he shut things down before I could finish my thought.
Yeah,
Good.
Again, fresh. Well, Van Hart's answer was fresh fruit. It might have to be pureed if that is a dislocated jaw, and just a vicious follow-up punch to the back of the base of the skull is unnecessary. But again, on Fight Boat, there are no rules technically. We are in
Lehman
international
showed
waters.
that he is a champion for a reason. God, that man is hard.
He is scary, and you can see Van Hart is being brought to, and Oliver Lehman. That is how you put in a quick day of work. That is a man who is ready to enjoy some tiramisu and, of course, some seafood.
Hopefully not together, but I'm not going to judge him if he does.
You know what? This is the place to do it. There's no real judgment here on Fight Boat. That is one fight in the books already. Coming up in just a moment, Meat Eater Marty Sweats, Professor Andre Carson. It is the next fight coming up right now. Just going over the first tail of the tape, Marty Sweats, Professor Andre Carson. Professor Andre Carson, a new one. He is one of the winners of the Hyperfist. He went 3-0, the quickest route to the Global MEGAFist 12. He has He has a 5-pound weight advantage, but everything else is virtually the exact same thing, including, well, technically his dessert choice was cheesecake.
Let's fight!
Meat Eater Marty Sweat said all of the above, which is absolutely an option.
Yeah, I'm sure he's also throwing some bacon or, you know, honey glazed ham on top of it. Just pure gluttony coming from Marty Sweats in all capacities.
Well, I mean, technically, if dessert is just whatever you eat last, then it could be anything for him. And oh my goodness, well, what he's eating first right now is a couple of fists for the mounted position, but he's recovered immediately.
Some big ground and pound from Professor Carson, yo. I know he likes to engage in what he refers to as spirited debate in college. Looks like he might spend a little time in the wrestling rooms with some of these takedowns, but Sweats
is swarming him. Again, Carson, maybe he's used to sparring verbally and perhaps physically a little too much with co-eds.
Yeah, some of these undergrads.
He's got a grown-ass man who eats a lot of meat on top of him at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. Sweats is, you know, one of the harder competitors to get off once he gets, especially into this mounted position. He just, you know, his hips get so heavy, and he is a dense, thick lump of a man just sitting on top of another person, raining down these blows.
Yeah, he is one of those performative eaters. He eats on stream, not competitively necessarily. I don't know anything about that. He leaves the competition to here in the Global MEGAFist 12, but he is a live streaming eater, and he is just mounted from behind and pounding away. That the referee has to stop it.
Ow.
Big 6 points. And a first round stoppage for Marty Sweats. Wow.
Carson he had brief moments, but he looked out of his depths basically from the jump in this contest. Sweats just, you know, I've seen him at the buffet. He is in top form. He is loading at least 5 to 6 plates at a time, going back to his table each and every trip, and it's getting up in the teens. You know, every night. Yeah.
And again, Marty Sweats is a fighter that was ever so close of becoming a semifinalist last year. He finished the season 3-2, 14 points. Tied with Dr. Igor Tonic, lost a tiebreaker, which is why he did not make it to the semifinals. It was ever so close for Marty Sweats. He's looking to pick back up where he left off last year.
Oh, absolutely. This is a statement, and, you know, those points are going to come in huge down the road.
They certainly will. Again, 6 points for him as well as Oliver Lehman. Our third fight is coming up in just a moment. Newcomers Grant Clado and Guff Magnuson. here we go. Our third fight of the evening. Grant Clado giving up rather large height and reach advantage to Guff Magnuson. Guff Magnuson, the elementary school security guard. You might remember him from 2 years ago. Grant Clado, retired drill sergeant, who is just filled to teeming to the brim with shrapnel from a secret mission. It is literally sticking out of parts of his body and poking through his shorts.
Absolutely, Grant could probably make, 185 without ease.
Yeah.
Or without too much of a problem if he were to get most of the metals extracted from his body. But,
he's very secretive about it. Like he's not keeping it secret. Like it's clearly there. But I find it weird that when I ask him if he's ever thought to get rid of it, he goes, "I can't do that." And I go, "Why not?" He goes, "I can't tell you. It's confidential." I'm like, is the shrapnel confidential? Like, I don't understand how that works.
Maybe there were secrets on the metal when it went. I honestly, I haven't got much of a chance to speak with Grant. I've seen him eating MREs at the buffet, which I think explains his confusion about a choice of a dessert. He's been eating a lot of the shelf-stable cake or pound cakes and cookies and things, and I think he's confused that the buffet is for everyone at any time they wish.
Yeah, we'll get him accustomed to that, I'm sure. It's a big adjustment for everyone. I think even the fact that given a choice, as Guff Magnuson has locked in an arm triangle. Guff Magnuson went 1-4 in 2019, got relegated down to the Hyperfist. He came back and went 3-0, one straight through to get automatic qualification to this year's tournament, and he's looking to try to stay back up in it. Grant Clado is a tough customer, as we're seeing that, and again, those MREs, it's a heck of a lot of discipline. Now, to be fair, if he wanted, there are MREs readily available if he chooses that. We have a lot of those too. I've tasted them once in the past. I don't really care for the stuff. I mean, they are what they are. They're nutrients when you need them, but why would you choose that when we have... Lucille, there are 5 different buffets at any given time running on this fight boat.
It's ridiculous. We've got the seafood tonight. We had, I believe, Brazilian steakhouse coming up tomorrow. I mean, there's... The options are so plentiful. It is staggering on this wonderful vessel.
It certainly is. We actually get to see a second round of fights here on Fight Boat, and again, it was a good chance to talk to you about the location where we were hosting this.
Gotta keep those hands up inside.
Anyone was confused as to how things ended last year. We weren't sure where we are. Technically, we still don't know where we are, other than the fact that we are currently on Fight Boat. By some miraculous way, the tournament last year concluded with the Atsapadalin lodged in one of the many swimming pools here aboard Fight Boat. Yes, there are many.
I'm not sure. I still can't determine if Fight Boat kind of came up with I don't know if it's also partly a submarine and it came up and that's paddling was trapped, or maybe we were airlifted or crane lifted into the pool from the I honestly don't know. I don't care to know. I'm just glad to be off the Atsapadalin.
Yeah. What they ended up doing was they ended up moving the gym where we worked and ran our shows on the Atsapadalin and basically reconstructed it in one of the studios on Fight Boat.
Yeah, they just cut the roof off the Atsapadalin and many strong men dragged it out. It was a hell of a sight to see.
Yeah, it was very much a team effort. I will say that is the one amazing thing is there's a ton of fighting here on Fight Boat as Grant Clado lands a good knee and Guff Magnuson is on the back foot 30 seconds into this one. Everyone is just so wonderfully happy to be here because it is just a den of violence and amazing luxury and plentifulness. And I don't care if that's a word, but I could probably have someone put in a call to Most Glorious and Honorable Mr. Naga to make it a word if I wanted it to.
Absolutely. And Grant with those heavy fists.
Yeah, the referee has seen enough. That is going to be 5 big points for Grant Clado, Group B. That's their first fight of the night.
Magnus just couldn't get the fight to the ground in the second round, and Granite Cran just made him pay for it with those strikes up against the fence, and then it devolved into this ground and pound situation.
Yeah, that's a huge win for Grant Clado. You know, the 2 newcomers to the group. You know, that's you don't want to say any fight is an easy fight here in the Global MEGAFist 12. However, that's one of the ones that you're going to circle when you know your opponent and say, if I need to make a splash this year in the tournament, that's one of the ones I have to win. And Grant Clado already has 5 points in the bank.
Absolutely. I mean, proving that the Hyperfist guys are still a tough out in the competition.
No doubt about that. Well, we have more action to come in just a moment. Coming up, another fight from Group B. Lil 42 taking on handsome Jeff Perkins. However, we have action to talk about. Well, we don't have action, but we have to talk to you about, as we did last year. This year, the Hyperfist continues on to help fill in, add new blood to the Global MEGAFist 12. Well, the Hyperfist starts soon, but this is a preview of this year's tournament. The Hyperfist is a qualifying tournament taking place throughout the year right here on Fightboat. 16 fighters will enter. Only 2 will advance to next year's Global MEGAFist, while 2 more can earn their way in by winning a survival fight. Here is the heavyweight A bracket and the first round of Hyperfist fights. Monty Niles versus Slim Cornwall. Oshikai Kamake versus Lou Doppler. Julian Easel versus Errol Cheeks. And Nicholas Polka versus Dan Rodenta. The second half of the Hyperfist bracket and first round of fights. Damian Adder versus the All-Seeing Sultan. Hedonism Hank Langer versus Ali Halamit. Tool versus Dale Huggins. And Gabe Donahue versus Dr. Quinlan. With so much at stake, you are not going to want to miss this year's Hyperfist qualifier. here. It is Lil 42 taking on Handsome Jeff Perkins. The mixtape is still on its way out. You know, when you ask Lil 42 what he's going to eat for dessert, you should probably figure out what he's going to say, and you know you have to censor it.
Absolutely. I did. Like I said, it's so weird talking to Lil 42. He is.
Yeah.
But he did say that he was excited to learn that Fightboat did have an enormous recording studio, and he was looking to basically start the mixtape over from scratch with all the available technology and sources that the most honorable and glorious Mr. Naga can provide.
That is 100% true. That is, again, there is a recording studio here on Fightboat. It is regularly used by some of the wonderful music acts that adorn the stages on the various nights here. Entertainment is never at a shortage here on Fightboat, be it fights or anything else. Lil 42, I mean, he has access to really talented musicians and really good equipment. Maybe he can drop a mixtape somewhere outside of SoundCloud.
I mean, he would have to utilize a ghostwriter, which there are ghostwriters for lyrics on Fightboat, but he's adamant that such an action would not be true to himself, true to his roots. I don't know what those roots might happen to be.
I haven't a clue either.
Oh.
But yeah, I do know I think Bob Sapp put out a song at some point in Japan. I think we have the ghostwriter for that song. So we have someone who is familiar with mixed martial artists and combat sports who might want to record music. So it may not be the highest quality of songwriting, but it's gonna sell.
Well, also, Mr. Naga owns the publishing rights to Sap Time, so if Lil 42 wanted to sample any of Bob Sapp's tracks, he definitely could. I was about to say Jeff was in a bit of a tough situation earlier, you know, on the bottom. He escaped pretty well. The plus-size model and football player turned fighter.
Yeah, he had an impressive debut last year. He went 3-2, had dropped off down the stretch, was still enough to make it out of the group stages. He fell to Oliver Lehman, which, as we know, of course, is no shame. Lasted 3 rounds with Oliver Lehman, almost went to a decision, and was knocked out within seconds to go. In the semifinals, again, you said former football player, so has that athletic background. He's become a plus-sized model. Goes by the name Handsome Jeff Perkins. He's always just he's worried about his appearance. He's still I guess he's still taking modeling gigs here aboard Fightboat. I don't know how that works. If they can do it from a remote, this is about as remote a location as you can get.
I mean, the photography studio is outstanding, though. You just have to ship in whatever he's gonna be modeling in. To be honest, when he first came on the scene, I got a little confused about his little bio rundown. I thought he modeled plus size football clothes and football gear. I guess he might do that, but those are two separate things for Jeff. He played football. He's also a plus. He's not just wearing like a big giant football jersey. Or
I think that was I think that was part of the gateway to it. Like, he started with plus size football. I mean, you know, again with his background, that was kind of what made sense. I think is about as much as that can make sense. But then,
showing off big pads for that lineman might want to buy.
Exactly. Yes, and I guess his career. I haven't really. I don't know much about the modeling career of former football players, but I guess that would help. But nonetheless, it's really it's taken him up, and again he's gained some popularity. He's also gained a little bit of friction for his you know, you don't when you call yourself Handsome Jeff, as he just ate a again, he just ate a huge high kick. When you call yourself Handsome Jeff, you know, that comes with a lot of ego, and that seems to rub some people the wrong way, especially when he's a newer face to the Global MEGAFist 12. But he's backed it up in big ways in these fights.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's got heavy hands. He's got, you know, heavy hips. I was talking about, you know, Marty Sweat's having heavy hips. You know, Handsome Jeff. If he gets on top of you, it is a tough deal, tough situation to get out from under his impressive bulk. But Lil 42
his impressive pelvis.
Oh, absolutely. It is constantly at work to, you know, to put the maximum amount of weight on his opponent. But Lil 42 is really laying into him with these strikes. He is definitely a more polished striker, but just as I said, a big takedown from Jeff.
I mean, that's what you expect from a football player. You can just wrap up another person and just take them right into the ground, and that's gonna hurt no matter what. But yeah, Lil 42 again. He's a strange man. He's very hard to talk to without wanting to just turn and walk in the other direction. But when it comes to his fighting, he puts on the aggression, and he just has a way of swarming opponents when he's allowed to. We go to
you gotta punish him now. All right.
Round
go to the body and push him back. Breathe.
And Handsome Jeff doesn't look too bothered, doesn't look too beaten up, neither does Lil 42, but
right? You feel
perhaps frustration setting in. What is it going to take to this guy away?
Yeah, and you know, the frustration, Jeff can't let that build. You know, that was, I think it was a twofold situation last year against Oliver Lehman. He got frustrated. He couldn't put Oliver Lehman away, and I think he got a little tired at the very end, and that's what allowed Lehman. I mean, all credit to Lehman. Lehman just hits like a truck. But Handsome Jeff definitely needs to maintain a strong mental defense. Especially against a guy like Lil 42, who
you're never against the cage.
you know,
ready?
Luckily, we're not miking up the cage-like octagon-like structure very well, but he is pretty much always constantly cursing at his opponents.
He is. He refers to it as dropping bars, and I don't think that's how that works.
Which is so weird, because trying to talk to him, you know, outside of the octagonal-like cage structure, he mumbles a lot. He does not look anyone directly in the eye. He speaks in a very low tone. All of his aggression and braggadocio from both the cage and in the recording studio are gone when you try to have a conversation. He is a very soft-spoken, low-key individual outside of those two specific areas.
Very bizarre. And I learned, it took me a while to realize he wasn't one of those like mumble rappers. That it was just, he just mumbles, and it's not even like a shy mumble necessarily. It's just an unintelligible mumble. It's a little bit of shyness. It's much more reserved. But yeah, it's so difficult to, and again, oh my goodness, well, just a big hammer fist is not gonna make him any more coherent from Jeff Perkins. This is where Perkins shines, this mounted position.
Absolutely, he is, again, heavy hips, heavy hammer fists. He is, God, you do not want that man on top of you raining down punches. He is a nightmare to deal with.
No, this is exactly why he was so dominant for the start of last year's tournament. Yeah, slipped up a little bit, but did enough to make it to the semifinals. And Oliver Lehman was waiting for him. And again, he gave Oliver Lehman about the best fight as anyone could have asked for last year. Lehman, of course, went undefeated throughout the entire calendar year to win the heavyweight championship tournament. The closest that anyone came to lasting with him was Perkins.
There you go, nice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the point totals. I know Lehman racked up nearly every single point possible in last year's group stages, and we don't keep track of the points in the tournament itself, but He was, I mean, he was getting quick finishes in pretty much every fight. There might have been a few that went a little longer, but he was just devastating last year.
Stop.
I'm just
That's
looking back right now. Oliver Lehman defeated Jeff Perkins by knockout. As we go to a decision, well, again, Perkins, you might have to give him the edge on this one, but who knows? The judges on Fightboat are just as full of buffet food and you know, complimentary beverage service and everything here. So we'll have to see what they decide. Oliver Lehman defeated Jeff Perkins last year with 11 seconds to go in the fight. That is about as close as anyone has gone to lasting a decision with Oliver Lehman. Perkins is a tough fighter, and we're going to see where it goes with this. Yes, the judges have given it to handsome Jeff Perkins. It'll only be 3 points for him for getting the decision victory. A couple of nasty cuts above and below his face.
Great fight, though. I mean,
yeah, outstanding. We have 2 more fights to go here aboard Fightboat, and they only get bigger. Dr. Igor Tonic, Lonnie Fescue, two old standards at this point to the Global Megafist 12. That fight is coming up right now. The tail of the tape for this fight. These are larger heavyweights. Dr. Igor Tonic, 260 pounds, 6'6", has the advantage pretty much over anyone he fights. Reach advantage only 2 inches over Lonnie Fescue, a deceptively large lawn dad. Of course, our seller of snake oils, tonics, hence his name, of course, and other sorts of elixirs and whatever, taking on the lawn dad wearing his grass-stained khakis. And Dr. Igor Tonic starting these off offering the starts off by offering up the hand and goes with a spinning back kick. That is delightfully devious.
You know, protect yourself at all times is the instructions. You know, the good doctor, just making sure that Lonnie Fescue is not gotten complacent while on the decadence that is Fightboat.
Yeah. Now that's the thing, you know, Lonnie Fescue, again, just a good old salt of the earth lawn dad. Not a lot of lawns to really admire while you're here on Fightboat.
You know, Dr. Tonic sells earth salt. He says it helps with lumbago. I haven't felt lumbago since I started taking it, so...
That's fair. I'm not entirely certain I know what lumbago is, but I believe it. There you go.
I don't either. I don't feel it is the point, so worth every penny for me.
Excellent. Outstanding to know that some of his product does in fact work. Not that would ever be a thing to doubt, but it's a great testimonial. I know you are always a big fan of the wares. And, of course, the fighting skill of Dr. Igor Tonic, who has won the Global MEGAFist 12 back in 2019.
Yeah, he is. He's looking to recapture some old glory. You know, it was going to be tough last year. You know, the Atsapad was doing, and Oliver Lehman was just pissed off and was just destroying it.
Yeah, Tonic, of course, had the fight with Oliver Lehman in the group stage. Lost to Wanderin Mo Volt in one of the biggest upset stories of all of Global MEGAFist 12 last year. Wanderin Mo Volt getting the upset over Dr. Igor Tonic, denying us of a Tonic Lehman final, and ensuring there'll be a new champion. But he is coming back with a vengeance, and Lonnie Fescue just unfortunately was in the way.
Oh wow, Tonic just put a devastating stamp on that one. Just big ground and pound from the good doctor. Wow.
100%. Lonnie Fescue, again, we were talking about how this just very feels much out of his element. You know, he's just a simple salt of the earth sort of, dad who loves his lawn. He's now on Fight Boat. He's his first question was, what's the pie situation? That sort of an answer to a question like that would take 20 minutes when we talk about pie and Fight Boat. We will have to go and enjoy these seafood buffet.
Yeah. Small consolation for Lonnie Fescue. He suffers a first round loss to Dr. Igor Tonic.
Yes.
Looking in fine.
That being said, we have another fight coming up just in moments. It is Wanderin Mo Volt taking on Fritz Milgram. That is coming up next. But again, the nice consolation for everyone here is that you're still on Fight Boat.
Absolutely.
This is our main event of the evening. Wanderin Mo Volt and Fritz Milgram. Wanderin Mo Volt, last year's finalist. Fritz Milgram went undefeated and made it to the finals in 2019 before falling to Dr. Igor Tonic. It is a battle between two previous finalists.
Let's go, guys. Fight.
And this fight is getting underway. Volt had an amazing 2020. Went 3-2 in the group stages. Finished top of the group. Defeated Dr. Igor Tonic in a huge submission in the first round upset. Fritz Milgram fell off a bit. He had a slow start and came back big with a second half of the year to finish up in third place. Again, just like Marty Sweats, lost via tiebreaker to Jeff Perkins. But last year really was Volt's year, and this is going to be a time to see if he can capitalize on it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think we all kind of chalked it up to Volt not living his typical, you know, touring concert goer lifestyle. You know, he cleaned things up a bit on the Axapadlin. Unfortunately, there's just so much on offer here on Fight Boat. I know Most Honorable and Glorious Mr. Naga has flown in bands to perform.
Yeah.
You know, just and I fear that Wander Movolt might fall back into his old ways of taking unknown substances, staying up to watch bands play for, you know, 8 to 12 hours at a time, and just, you know, eating copious amounts of fried food. And we'll just have to see how his performance in this fight suffers, though. Fritz Milgram is definitely, you know, no slouch. Fritz Milgram could win this fight even with Volt at the best of his abilities.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna have to look and see. I can't recall. I believe these two met again. They met last year, and I'm trying to see. I can't recall who won that one. I'm just kind of looking through my notes to see. I think it was early on in the tournament, and we're seeing just a really strong outing from Milgram, just grinding out. He's usually known for his knockouts. He doesn't usually grapple so much like this, but Volt on his back. And again, you know, I would say if Volt were to lose this fight to Milgram, I wouldn't necessarily go so far as to say it's because of his lifestyle getting the best of him. Yeah, Milgram knocked out Volt with 1 minute left to go in the fight. So that was a third-round knockout for 4 points for Milgram last year.
Time, guys.
But that is not necessarily, that's not necessarily going to be the same way. When we go to a second round
on the ground,
at this moment,
all day long in that triangle, that armbar. You can catch it all
yeah,
day long.
it's a very interesting fight so far.
Okay.
Even more interesting to see how the second round plays out. It went pretty evenly, I will say. I think Volt is looking.
Triangle, that armbar. You can catch it all day long.
It might be too early to tell, but it's looking pretty strong for Volt so far.
Absolutely. You know, anytime you can keep Fritz Milgram and his, you know, electricity-empowered fists off of a standing position where they do so much horrific damage. That's a big improvement for Volt. You know, of course, every round starts standing. He's going to have to look for that takedown again early here in round 2 against Fritz Milgram, the man with electricity coursing through his veins.
Yeah, he's some sort of scientist. Never really understood everything going into it. We get whatever notes we're given by whatever interns we have. This is back when we were at the Nugent Center in Branson, Missouri, which feels like a millennia ago, and I am okay with that. But yeah, Fritz Milgram has electricity coursing through his veins pretty much at all times, and he's using the ground and pound Volt. Oh my goodness!
Stop! Fight's over.
Wow, that was a little unnecessary. Could have been stopped maybe a few punches earlier.
Wow!
Big win. Oh!
What a victory! What a huge statement for Fritz Milgram. I hate to put the damper on in statistics-wise, but that is Fritz Milgram is 3-0 versus Wanderin Mo Volt. All of those fights in the group stages, they just have been the luck of the draw, or for Volt, the bad luck of the draw. He just cannot figure out how to defeat Milgram. Falls again. Fritz Milgram, 5 big points. He's a dangerous competitor.
Yeah, he is not one to take lightly. He is, I think, upset again about, you know, just being a finalist in 2019 and, you know, struggled a bit, if I'm not mistaken, in 2020. I mean, who didn't, other than Oliver Lehman?
Yeah.
You know, but he is definitely another one to look out for, because
he went 3-2, which again, when you're calling that struggling, that is that shows you what the kind of potential Fritz Milgram has. But wow, it is incredible, Lucille. We are already through our 6 fights for the evening. It went by so fast, and you can see in part on your screen. You can see exactly why that happened. Look at that. 3 fights, Group A, 3 first-round victories. It goes down to a tiebreaker at this point because it's still so early. All 3 get 6 points. Dr. Igor Tonic with his win over Lonnie Fescue. Marty Sweats over Professor Andre Carson. Oliver Lehman over Van Hart by knockout. Any of those you want to talk about? Any of those seem surprising? They seem about who you would have guessed. But does any of those stand out to you?
I mean, Lehman, just his consistent dominance is always impressive. Some guys, year to year, they fall off or they get better. I mean, he looks as deadly as he ever has. He is, God, his last loss was, sometime in, I'm guessing, November of 2019?
I believe it would have been in the, it was in the semifinals, if I recall. I think it was to Fritz Milgram.
I mean, that's devastating. Nothing against Professor Carson. He's the kind of, well, and Van Hart too, but they're kind of the unknowns, at least in the general scheme of the rest of them. So I can't give a ton of credit to, or put a ton of stock into what Sweats did. But Tonic against a tough guy in Lonnie Fescue, that's really impressive what he managed to do. But I mean, Lehman just doing Lehman things.
Yeah,
just
Tonic. We saw Tonic. Show his vicious side yet again and put away Fescue in a quick way. And that is nothing against Lonnie Fescue. He is a tough customer. And let's see where it puts the standings for now. Everyone's on 6 points. Again, I wouldn't worry too much about tiebreakers at this point. Tiebreakers are basically the amount of time it took to win. So literally, Marty Sweats is top. But that's after 1 fight. But we're going to start to see these standings take shape over the course of this calendar year. Of course, a date in April, a Tuesday night in April will be when episode 4, our next heavyweight set of fights will be Tonic versus Carson. And Carson has a tough one. Fescue versus Lehman. And Sweats versus Hart. Man, Lonnie Fescue starts off against Dr. Igor Tonic and Oliver Lehman. I guess that's one thing to say. You get those tough ones out of the way early, but my God, those are going to be that's going to be a rough 2 fights in a row for Lonnie Fescue.
Oh, absolutely. I know it's random draw, and everyone does fight everyone at the end, but no real favors done to any of our 0-1 Group A competitors.
No.
Going against the 1-0 guys, and Carson and Lehman both having they're already down 1 fight, and they got Tonic and Lehman just staring down the barrel for April. I mean, that's rough. Hart, he's got to clear his head from what Lehman did to him and see what he can do against Marty Sweats.
Until he was knocked out, he put up a good effort. I think he landed some good strikes. We just haven't really seen what he can do against the Global MEGAFist 12. We've only seen his abilities in the Hyper Fist, which again are still strong and solid. But yeah, he's not a good way to judge against Oliver Lehman to properly judge your talent.
I mean, I think he rocked Lehman a few times, which did nothing for Lehman's notoriously short temper, and Oliver just got a little annoyed with this new guy and put it on him. And now I think Sweats and Hart, that's kind of the intriguing matchup. You got the cardio exercise guy and the guy who sits and eats on camera just hours at a time. Just personality-wise, those are 2 just interesting people.
2 very different reasons for calorie counting, I think, is what it ends up being. As we head over to our Group B results, and those were a little bit different. Grant Clado coming in with his big debut in the Global MEGAFist 12 stages, beating Guff Magnuson, 2nd round TKO. Fritz Milgram defeating Wander and Mo Volt in our main event in the 2nd round, and handsome Jeff Perkins taking a little 42 to a decision, but still picking up the win. Any thoughts on any of those fights?
Clado and Magnuson, both coming in from Hyperfist. I think that was fairly back and forth in the first round, and then Clado just managed to defend the takedowns and get the knockout. That was impressive. Volt and Milgram, as you pointed out, Milgram just has Volt's number. That could just easily be a styles make fights kind of situation. I'd like to see what Volt does next time out. And, Handsome Jeff, he couldn't get the finish, which, we'll see how that the lack of points ends up hurting him as we get to the end of, the group stage.
Yeah, only getting 3 points from this fight could end up coming back to haunt Perkins when it gets to be the final fight of the group stage, and you're needing points. That is an interesting part to this tournament that just adds a little bit more to it.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's definitely shown himself capable of getting a first round finish, but his style is definitely not built for it overall. It's maybe a midway through the second into the third is kind of when the damage starts to accumulate after what Jeff Perkins likes to do to an opponent.
Well, as long as you keep winning, though, that will add up, even if they are 3 and 4 points at a time. And now we look at the standings. It puts Perkins in third place for the moment, with Milgram and Clado in first with 5. And we see the next round of fights in the heavyweight division. Clado versus Milgram will be a battle for top of the tables in Group B. That's a tough first fight. That's a tough upcoming fight for Clado. But that's a tough opponent to get out of the way early. If he can get something out of Milgram, or at least force a low amount of points out of it, because there's always that strategy as well. That could be worth it. Magnuson and Lil 42 trying to get their first win, and Wanderin' Mo Volt will try to come back against Handsome Jeff Perkins. It's a tough battle for Volt as well, taking on fellow semi-finalist. He was a finalist, but taking on a semi-finalist from last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Volt, he does have the submission game. He did submit Dr. Igor Tonic in the playoffs last year. He definitely has the ability, even if he gets taken down by Handsome Jeff, to end the fight off of his back. So that's obviously a possibility.
Yeah.
Both guys a bit more grappling centric. So we'll see how that plays out. Clado and Milgram, that is something to circle.
That's an intriguing fight. That has, if any of them have main event status posted on them, that might be the one. Just if nothing else, for the fact that they're the 2 1-0 fighters. But don't forget, we will be back next week, Tuesday night, same time, same boat. It is Fight Boat, and we debut the new middleweight. Well, not the new middleweight division. We premiere the middleweight division with their groups. We're not just heavyweights here. We've got middleweights, and then we've got lightweights in episode 3. So next episode number 2, the middleweights kick off with Ed Picayune, defending champion of the tournament. He takes on newcomer Impossible Robbie Cheadle. Gordon Wu versus Paranorman. Ken Dull versus Chet Lama. And on the other side, Donnie Bay taking on the Tumor of Justice. 3 Ezekiel Subset Alpha, the debut of the rookie sensation from last year's tournament, taking on Dale Branston. And last year's finalist, Leon Pagliacci, takes on newcomer Vincenzo Vinny the Goose Thompson. Lucille, those are going to be some great fights. I'm looking forward to seeing the middleweights next week. However, right now what I'm looking forward to is that all-you-can-eat seafood buffet.
Shrimps!
There are shrimps, and there are going to be crawfish, and there will be a raw bar, a cooked bar, and a medium well and medium rare bar. All sorts of, there's so much to hear. This is Fight Mode. Oh my God, this is wonderful.
I heard there's whale. I gotta go get some whale if there's still whale.
Well, enjoy yourself some seafood if you can, wherever you are. We're gonna go enjoy Fight Boat. It's real and it's spectacular. We'll see you next week on the Global MEGAFist 12.